The night had come down heavy and wet, the kind that pressed against the skin like a damp hand. Cicadas screamed from the trees, and somewhere beyond the riverbank, a night bird cried out, sharp, lonely, accusing. Elias Crow didn't expect to find anyone out here. He'd ridden past this stretch of land 100 times, always giving it a wide berth. The palms grew wild near the river bend, their fronds tangled and drooping like uncombed hair. Cattle avoided the place, even coyotes skirted it. Locals said the ground stayed soft year-round, swallowing boots if you stood still too long. Tonight, his horse stopped dead. Elias pulled the reins, confused. "Come on, girl," he murmured, giving the mare a gentle nudge with his heel. She refused, ears pinned forward, muscles locked. That was when he heard it. Not a scream. No, it was quieter than that. A broken sound, like breath dragged through thorns. "Please," a voice whispered. "Please don't." Elias slid down from the saddle before he could think better of it. His hand went to the lantern tied at his side. The flame flickered as he lifted it, throwing long, nervous shadows across the palms. "Hello," he called, careful, steady. "Anyone there?" The sound came again, a sob this time, raw, uncontained. Elias pushed through the first curtain of palm fronds, their edges scraping his arms. The ground sucked at his boots. He nearly lost his footing. And then he saw her. She was crouched low, half hidden beneath a collapsed shelter made of palm leaves and branches, something hastily thrown together, already sagging from rain. Her hair clung to her face in dark ropes, plastered to tear-streaked skin. Her dress, what remained of it, was torn at the hem, soaked through, clutched tight against her body with trembling hands. She looked small, too small for the size of the fear pouring out of her. When the lantern light touched her face, she flinched violently and cried out. "No, don't touch me there," she sobbed, curling inward, arms crossing over her chest like a shield. "Please, please, I won't scream again, I swear." Elias froze, every muscle in his body locked as if he'd stepped into a snare. "I'm not." His voice cracked, unused to panic. He cleared his throat, lowered the lantern slightly so the light wouldn't blind her. "I'm not going to touch you." She shook harder, teeth chattering, eyes wild. She didn't seem to hear him. "Please," she whispered again, rocking. "I did what they said. I didn't fight. I didn't." Her words dissolved into sobs. Elias felt something cold and heavy drop into his chest. He took a step back instead of forward, boots sinking into the mud. Slowly, deliberately, he set the lantern on a flat stone and pushed it away from her, dimming the light between them. "I'm Elias," he said quietly. "I'm a rancher. I was riding home. That's all. I swear on my life." She didn't answer. Rain slid down the fronds above them, dripping onto the ground in uneven rhythm. The smell of wet earth and crushed leaves filled the air. Elias had seen fear before. Men facing a gun, horses caught in wire, a boy once, trapped under a wagon wheel. But this was different. This was fear that lived inside the body, that had learned the shape of pain too well. He swallowed hard. "I won't come closer," he continued. "I won't even look if you don't want me to." Her breathing was ragged, uneven. She kept her eyes squeezed shut, as if darkness were safer than light. Minutes passed, or seconds. Time felt warped. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was hoarse, scraped raw. "They said you'd come back," she whispered. "They always say that." Elias shook his head instinctively, even though she couldn't see it. "No, no one sent me." Her eyes opened then, just a sliver. They were dark, too old for her face. "You're lying," she said weakly. "I wish I were," he replied. And he meant it. Another shudder tore through her body, and she whimpered, collapsing further into herself. Rain soaked her hair, her shoulders. She looked like she'd been out here for hours. Maybe days. Elias glanced at the sagging palm shelter. At the marks in the mud. Boot prints, not hers. Too large. Too many. His jaw tightened. Carefully, he shrugged off his coat and held it out at arm's length, setting it on the ground halfway between them. "You're cold," he said. "You don't have to take it. I'll leave it there." She stared at it like it might bite. "I won't move," he added quickly. "See." He took another step back, hands raised, palms open. Silence stretched again. Then, inch by inch, She reached out. Her fingers trembled so badly she nearly missed the coat. When she finally pulled it toward herself, she sobbed into the rough fabric, clutching it like a lifeline. Elias turned his head away. His hands were shaking now. He pressed them together, hard, trying to steady himself. He'd thought himself a strong man. A man who'd buried his parents with his own hands. A man who faced drought and debt and loneliness without complaint. But standing there, watching a stranger crumble under invisible wounds, he felt utterly unmade. "I can leave," he said softly. "If you want." "No," she whispered instantly. Too fast. Too desperate. The word surprised them both. She swallowed, voice barely audible. "Just don't come closer." "I won't." Another long pause. "What's your name?" he asked, carefully. She hesitated. "Mara." "Mara," he repeated, anchoring her name in the air between them. "You're safe right now." She gave a broken laugh. "Safe?" "Yes," he said, though doubt clawed at him. "As safe as I can make it." Rain began to fall harder, drumming against the palms. The shelter sagged further, one side collapsing completely. Water spilled over her feet. She gasped, trying to scramble back, panic flaring again. Elias reacted without thinking, then stopped himself mid-step. "May I?" he asked urgently. "The shelter, it's falling. I can fix it. I won't touch you." Her eyes darted, terror battling exhaustion. Finally, she nodded once. Elias moved slowly, deliberately. Each motion exaggerated, careful. He lifted the fallen palm fronds, shaking water from them, propping them back into place. His hands brushed the leaves, the rope, the mud, but never her. Still, every time he moved, she flinched. And every flinch felt like a blow. As he worked, he noticed bruises along her forearm where the sleeve had torn. Old ones, new ones. His throat burned. When the shelter stood again, barely, he retreated immediately, putting distance between them. "There," he said, "it'll hold for the night." She nodded, eyes glazed with fatigue. "You shouldn't stay here," he added gently. "This place." "I know," she interrupted. Her voice sharpened for the first time. "But I can't run anymore." The words landed heavy. Elias looked at the dark trees beyond the palms. At the river, swollen and black. "You don't have to run tonight," he said. "My ranch is less than a mile from here." Her body stiffened instantly. "No," she said, "I won't go with a man." "Fair. I wouldn't ask you to," he replied. "I can ride ahead. Leave the lanterns lit. The barn's open. You could stay there, alone." She studied his face, searching for something: cruelty, hunger, deceit. What she found instead was a man barely holding himself together. "Why?" she asked quietly. Elias didn't answer right away. He looked down at his hands, still trembling. "Because," he said finally, "no one should be left shaking under palm fronds, begging the dark not to hurt them again." Mara's lips quivered. For the first time since he'd found her, she cried without words, silent tears. Sliding down her cheeks, grief spilling out now that fear had loosened its grip. Elias stood watch at the edge of the palms, rain soaking his shirt, heart pounding with a vow he didn't know how to keep yet. But he would, no matter what it cost him. The rain eased into a thin, steady mist, as if the night itself were listening. Elias went first. He lifted the lantern and walked several paces ahead, exactly as he'd promised, boots careful on the soft ground. He didn't look back. Not because he didn't want to, but because he knew how easily a glance could feel like a threat. Behind him, he heard her. Barely. A soft rustle of movement. The faint, uneven sound of footsteps that stopped too often, as though the ground itself were asking permission to let her pass. They moved slowly through the palms, the fronds whispering overhead. Water dripped from leaves onto Elias's shoulders, ran down his spine, soaked the waistband of his trousers. He didn't care. Every few steps, he paused. "You still there?" he asked quietly. "Yes," came the small reply. Sometimes she didn't answer right away. Those moments stretched tight as wire. Elias would stand frozen, heart pounding, until he heard her breathing again, shallow, but present. The path out of the palms was barely a path at all. Elias used his boot heel to mark the softer spots, angling his body so the lantern light showed her where to step without shining directly at her. "You can take your time," he said once. "We're in no hurry." She gave a humorless laugh. Feels like I've been running forever. The words lingered between them, heavy with things she hadn't said. When they reached firmer ground, she stumbled. Elias reacted on instinct. His hand shot out. And he stopped himself inches short. She gasped, panic flaring bright and sudden. I won't, he said immediately, stepping back, voice steady even as his chest hammered. You're all right. You caught yourself. She stood frozen for a long moment, arms wrapped around herself, breath shaking. Then she nodded once. Thank you, she whispered. They continued. The open land beyond the palms felt enormous after the closeness of the shelter. The sky stretched wide and low, clouds drifting like bruises across the moon. The ranch fence lay ahead in the distance, a dark line against darker grass. Coyotes howled somewhere far off. Mara flinched. They won't come near, Elias said. Too close to the house. How do you know? She asked. I've lived here 20 years, he replied. They know my smell. She was quiet after that. As they walked, Elias became aware of how carefully she moved, every step measured, every sound controlled. Like someone who had learned that noise invited punishment. His hands clenched at his sides. When the fence finally loomed close, Mara stopped. No, she said suddenly. Elias halted immediately. What is it? Her eyes scanned the darkness beyond the rails. I can't go through there. It's just the fence, he said gently. There's a gate. That's where they caught me, she interrupted, voice sharp with remembered terror. A fence like that, I thought it meant safety. Elias felt the words like a blow. He considered the land, the slope, the old break in the fence line where a fallen tree had crushed the rails years ago. There's another way, he said. We'll go around. She studied him, suspicion flickering. Then she nodded. They detoured through the tall grass, dew soaking their legs. Elias moved slower now, matching her pace. When she lagged, he slowed. When she stopped, he stopped. By the time the barn came into view, Mara was trembling again, this time from exhaustion. The barn doors stood open just as Elias had promised, lanterns hanging inside casting warm, steady light. The sight of it seemed to drain the last of her strength. She swayed. Elias caught himself again, hands lifting, stopping, curling into fists. You can sit, he said, pointing to a wooden crate near the entrance. I'll stay right here. She hesitated, then crossed the threshold as if stepping into sacred ground. The barn smelled of hay, leather, and horses, solid, familiar scents. She sank onto the crate, shoulders sagging. Elias leaned against a post several feet away, making himself small. Minutes passed. Her breathing slowly evened out. You keep your word, she said at last. I try. Most men say that. He didn't argue. A horse snorted softly from its stall. Mara startled, shrinking back. It's all right, Elias said. That's Jasper. He's old, gentle. She watched the horse, fascination edging out fear. He's beautiful. He knows it, Elias replied. A faint smile flickered across her face. There and gone so fast he almost missed it. I'll bring you water, he said. I won't be gone long. She nodded, curling deeper into the coat. Elias returned moments later with a tin cup. He set it on the ground near her feet and stepped back again. She drank slowly, hands shaking. When she finished, she looked up at him. Why are you doing this? Elias exhaled. Because someone once helped me when I didn't deserve it. Her brow furrowed. What happened? My parents died when I was 17, he said. Left me with debt, land I couldn't manage, and a house that felt too quiet to breathe in. A neighbor fed me for a year without asking for anything back. Mara considered that. Did you pay him back? Yes, Elias said. Every day since. She nodded, accepting the answer. Outside, the rain finally stopped. The silence that followed felt almost loud. You can sleep here tonight, Elias said. I'll take the house. Her eyes widened. You don't have to. I want to, he said simply. Another pause. What if they come? She asked. They won't, he said. But if they do, they'll have to come through me first. Something shifted in her gaze. Not trust, not yet, but the faintest crack in the wall she'd built. Stay, she said suddenly. Elias blinked. I thought, not close, she clarified quickly. Just, don't go far. He nodded. I'll sleep by the door. He settled against the barn wall, back to the wood, hat pulled low over his eyes but senses alert. He didn't sleep, not really. He listened to the night, to the horses, to the soft sound of her breathing as exhaustion finally claimed her. Hours later, she stirred. "Elias," she whispered, "I'm here." Her voice trembled. "You didn't leave." "No." Silence. Then, barely audible, "Thank you for not touching me." Elias closed his eyes. "Thank you," he replied, "for trusting me enough to ask." The lanterns burned low as dawn crept toward the horizon, pale, hesitant light spilling across the ranch. And for the first time in a long while, neither of them felt completely alone.